we got to start here. The news of the day, and a bit surprising, even though, I think we all can look back and say, you know what, yeah, they weren't really clicking. But the Milwaukee Bucks, 43 games into the season, fire their first-year coach, Adrien Griffin, longtime assistant, former player, and a guy that, many thought was going to be a good head coach. And it didn't work out. A lot of reasons. Obviously, defensively, they were struggling mightily, Rob. Last year, they were the 4th-rated defensive team in the league. This year, they dropped to 21st. But they were 30-13. That's the second-best record in the Eastern Conference, and actually tied for the second-best record in the league. But they didn't look like, Rob. Now, who knows? I mean, they had a new Damian Lillard, obviously.
That's a big piece, Chris.
That's
you're
a
adding
big
in.
adjustment. Yep.
Am I right?
Yes. So
I'm not sitting here to make excuses or whatever. I'm just saying, like they're not. What's their record? 30-13.
30-13.
They're not 13-30, Chris. Okay, I get that.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't have even gotten this far if that was
right. But to get fired nowadays with a 30-30, can you imagine these older coaches going, "Are you serious?" Like that.
Well, I think what it speaks to, Rob, is the desperation that this franchise is feeling. Right? They just made a big trade. And let's face it, Damian Lillard, who we all know is a great player, top 75, whether you think he should be or not, he is, and he's certainly a first ballot Hall of Famer. He hasn't played as well as usual. And do you blame that on the coach? Do you blame that on Lillard? Whatever. But I do think, to your point, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're kind of saying, Rob, I mean, it was going to be an adjustment. You were losing Drew Holiday, who was one of your key pieces. You bringing in a star who has the ball in his hand, so it's not going to happen overnight. And maybe things, as time went on, would have gotten better, but they weren't willing to wait. Because I got to be honest, right now, I think Boston looked better. I think Philly looked better. And Miami getting Terry Rozier, that's a move I really like. I think we know they've had Milwaukee's number. I think they probably in the postseason would have had a great chance of beating Milwaukee. So I don't know if this will work out, but I think those are a lot of the reasons. And Rob, let me say this, and Giannis, here's a quote Giannis had after they lost to the Rockets on January 6th, Rob. Tell me if you agree with me. This is a death quote for a coach. And I'm not blaming Giannis, but when you hear this, it does not speak well of the coach. Here it is. Now, defensively, we have to have a plan. This is Giannis. What is our strategy? Are we going to give a lot of open threes? Are we going to let them get in the paint? When they go in the post, are we going to stay with ours and play one-on-one? What is our strategy? Right now, we're giving everything. We are giving everything. We are giving the threes. We are giving straight line drives. We are letting guys play in the post and get comfortable. We're giving offensive rebounds. I mean, Rob, am I wrong, or does that sound like we don't agree with the strategy? We don't even know what the strategy is.
No, Chris, you're being nice. I mean, that was it right there. There you could go right back to that quote. If you're ownership or management or whatever, and you're like, okay, the players don't even know what they're doing. Giannis is complaining about defense. Forget that you gave away your best defensive player. Like act like that didn't happen, right?
Right.
Like that, because people said that when
they're getting torched on the
when they made the trade, right? The first thing people said is you just gave up your best defensive player.
Yep.
Like, this is why you were a really good defensive team, and now Damian Lillard's not that, right? Okay, right. So you're going to give up something. You got firepower offensively, but defensively you're going to give up something, and I would expect, Chris, like there would be some scandal behind the scenes, or the players.
You think?
Total? No. I'm saying I could accept that more to get rid of a coach at 30-13 this early in the season. It ain't about, Chris, where you are now. I'm sorry. It's about where you are in April. You know what I mean? Or but it really is. Like, it's a progress. Like being the number one seed now doesn't guarantee you anything. It just doesn't.
I mean, look, the record was fine.
Right.
Offensively, they were fine. Defense was the problem. You make a legitimate point for giving it a shot, and maybe something will come out that there were, issues or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it feels like to make this move. This was not like some guy who hadn't been around, hadn't paid his dues, Chris.
Right.
All this other stuff. This is a guy who's bred in the NBA, and what were we about 16 years as an assistant? I mean, like a long time.
No, a long time with a lot of teams.
Okay,
With a
lot of teams. He's been around. Here's his opportunity. And you give this guy a cup of coffee and a sweet roll and say that's it? Wow.
Nah, I hear you. And that's legitimate. Now, Rob, the big thing, is a big part of this too, is Doc Rivers, apparently about a month ago, Doc Rivers, at the longing of the owners of the Bucks, became the consultant for Adrien Griffin, and now he appears to be the lead candidate. He's certainly one of the lead candidates.
Chris, I'm gonna stop you because this is lunacy. Okay, this is absolute lunacy. Please, I don't understand it. I get Doc Rivers. Long coaching career, won a championship. We gave him a parade. We threw confetti on his head. All that.
Long time ago, too.
That was a long time ago. And now, here we go again after he's been he had the Clippers job with Kawhi and Paul George. He was in Philadelphia with Embiid in that group. And that didn't work out. And now you're going to send him to Giannis. Really? Okay.
Rob, I'm with you. Why? We said, everybody knows we first guessed this. We said this when Doc went to Philly.
Yes.
Why?
You remember we were floored. We were floored that happened.
Doc Rivers has blown more 3-1 leads than any coach in history. He's blown 3 of them. 3-1 leads. He's blown 4 3-2 leads, Rob, and another 2-0 lead. And I don't mean 4 3-2 leads that were 3-1 leads at one point. Separately. All right. Why? And I'm not saying Doc's a horrendous coach.
Nobody's saying that.
But
Chris.
Doc has he shown that he can get the team over the hump? The Clippers hired him. They were a good team. They had Lob City to get past the second round, never did it. And then Ty Lue comes in.
He shows up
right away.
And Kawhi is hurt, and they get to the Western Conference Finals.
Right. I'm just saying, and I'm going to throw this out for a lot of the jobs that are out there. I know he ain't going to get it. Rob, I'd like to see him give Mark Jackson a shot. I know they won't. For whatever reason, he's blackballed. Kenny Atkinson is another name. I think of Kenny Atkinson as a guy that would be good for a rebuilding team, young team, scrappy, get the most out of him. When he was in Brooklyn, Rob, the Stars didn't want him.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't know where they're heading.
The NBA is starting to feel like the NHL, Chris. I don't know how closely they fire coaches left and right, and now it just seems like coaches are just getting tossed out. Like everybody wants Darvin Ham fired. Everybody more so than ever before. They just won the in-season tournament, Chris, and 2 weeks later they're like, get rid of Darvin Ham. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, right.